Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to make a lovely vegetarian lasagna with soya mince. Here I have 2 cups of soya mince, of which I soaked for an hour and drained out. I am using 250 grams of lasagna sheets. For my tomato sauce, for braising, I have 1/4 cup of oil, 1 onion that I grated, a 1/4 can of diced peeled tomatoes, and 1/2 cup of tomato puree, 2 tomatoes which I grated. For tasting, we're going to add a generous grain of salt and grain of pepper. Here I have 5 cloves of garlic, of which I'm going to crush, a teaspoon of paprika, and a teaspoon of chopped spice. I'm also going to make a white sauce. The ingredients for my white sauce is 125 grams of butter, 2 tablespoons of flour, because my white sauce is going to be a little thick. And thereafter I have 1.5 cup milk. To make my white sauce into a cheese sauce, so I'm going to add in cheese. Here I have 250 grams of grated cheddar cheese, of which I'm going to use 200 grams and leaving the 50 grams for the topping. And also for the topping I have 50 grams of hard cheese. Now I'm going to start making my tomato sauce and thereafter my white sauce. I've got my stove on moderate heat. I'm going to put in my 1/4 cup of oil. I add in my onions to fry out. Now my onions are a little bit brown, so I'm going to add in my garlic to it. And I'm also adding some fresh thyme, of which I didn't mention, which is also optional. And allow this to fry for about 2 minutes. I'm adding in my spices. To my spice, I'm going to add in my soya mince. I mix this in properly. And I'll allow this to fry with the spice. 5 minutes has passed, and now I'm going to add in my tomatoes and my canned tomatoes, and then my puree. To this, I'm also going to grind in my black pepper and a generous grain of salt, but we will taste the salt as it cooks. I'll give all this a mix. Yeah, I rinsed out my can. I've got 3/4 can of water, so I'm going to add it in to my sauce. Now I'm going to let it to simmer on low for 20 minutes with the lid on. While my tomato sauce is cooking, I'm going to quickly make a white sauce. And Pranesh did make a white sauce. He will link it to the video. This is the 125 grams of butter. I put it into the pot to melt out. Now I'm going to wait for my butter to melt out. My butter is melted, and make sure you don't burn your butter. So to this melted butter, I'm going to use my 2 tablespoons of flour and give it a good mix. I want to cook out this flour so it doesn't have a raw flour taste to it. Now it's cooked out. So gradually I'm going to add in my 1.5 cup of milk to it. To this milk, I'm also going to use a generous grain of salt and also a grain of pepper. And I'll keep stirring the milk till it comes to a boil. As you can see, my white sauce has gone thick, and I was continuing to stir. Now I'm going to add in my cheese to it. And I leave this for the topping. I will allow this cheese to cook out before switching the stove off. Now my cheese has melted into the sauce, making this sauce into a thick white sauce. In the meantime, we still have to wait for our tomato sauce to get done. Now I'm going to switch my stove off. It's been 20 minutes and my sauce is cooked. So now I'm going to switch the stove off. Now I'm going to get ready to set my lasagna. While I was getting set it up, I put my oven on to 165 to get heated. To this baking tray, I added my spray and cook, and this baking tray is 20 centimeter. First, we're going to add a little bit of the tomato sauce to the bottom. Yeah, add a very thin layer to the bottom because this will stop the lasagna from sticking to the bottom. Now I'm placing in my lasagna sheet. Now I'm going to add another layer of my tomato sauce, not too thick again. And thereafter I'm using my white cheese sauce to it. So I'll spread this out. Get it completely covered. To this I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of cheese. And thereafter another layer of my lasagna sheet. The same method. Now I'm going to continue to repeat the same method. My cheese sauce has just got completed, and now I'm adding in my cheese. I'm topping my cheese up. This will give us a very cheesy finish. Now using a foil, I'm gonna cover my baking tray and allow it to sit for about 20 minutes before going into the oven. Now this will rest on the counter for 20 minutes before going into the preheated oven. 20 minutes has passed and the lasagna rested on the counter. So now it's time for me to just pop it into the oven. I will allow this to bake for 30 minutes, and for the last 10 minutes, I will take off the foil and let the cheese brown up. "40 minutes has passed and we are ready to take our lasagna out of the oven. As you can see how beautiful it looks and very tempting to eat. But for some reason, if you've got a bigger baking tray, you can use it. Now I'm going to allow this to rest for another 15 minutes before cutting it. We allow the lasagna to rest for 15 minutes. Now I'm going to remove my foil. So I am also ready to serve. This lasagna is enough to serve 4 people or even more. This lasagna can be served with salad or your garlic bread, and there is many other types of filling to make your lasagna, like for instance spinach and cheese or lamb mince. We will show you all in time. Thank you all for watching and enjoy.